undoing the bandage and causing, you know, him discomfort.
Do you leave it off now, is that it?
Yeah, that'll stay off now. We'll just leave these little dressings intact until he comes back to clinic in 2 weeks.
And what, if you want Kirk to come back in 2 weeks, what's that all about?
Just to have the stitches out and to have a look at the wound. So you've got your appointment anyway, haven't you now?
Yeah, I've got my appointment card.
Yeah. Right, I'm just going to lift your leg up.
I can lift my leg up if you want.
Okay. All done.
Alright, thanks.
Alright, so leave those on, don't touch them until you come back. Alright, you can shower with them, but don't actually strip them off.
Okay.
Alright?
Right,
Yeah?
yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
Right, thanks.
Have you tried putting any pressure on your leg since
Yeah,
last time?
I can't really put much pressure on. So the physio told me that just do what you can and then it'll just ease up. It'll ease up over time. And hopefully I'll be able to put pressure on it after a week or so.
So what's your plan now for the day? What's happening now?
My parents are coming to pick me up and then just go home and get on with things.
What time will they do? When are they coming?
They should be here any time now, next 15 minutes. They were supposed to be coming at 1 o'clock, but they're coming at about 2 now. Alright.
Okay. Ready to go?
Grab that. Can you carry my bag?
Do it down there. Yeah, right down. Yeah, we'll do it on the back.
What's your reflection, Tom?
Next time on Wythenshawe Law, Elton's assault case is committed to Crown Court and the firm's football team takes on Wythenshawe's teenagers. If you'd like more information about the issues raised in this programme, go to our website, grenadatv.com, where you can get our fact sheet.
And more to point with.
With a passion for keeping the country and Western flame alive on Sunday afternoon at 12:35. You're on ITV1.
It's 10 a.m. at the Beswick branch of Tranters Solicitors, and Principal Advocate Dave O'Reilly is doing something that solicitors do a great deal of, waiting around for a client to show up.
Can you tell us what's happening today?
Well, we're just waiting for the client now, Karl Pye, to arrive at the office so that we can go over to the police station with him. He's due over there on what's called a rebail, so that the police hopefully have completed some enquiries and can tell him what they're going to do with regard to allegations that have been made against him. There are various ways that it could go this morning, but until we get over there to speak to the police officer, we don't really know. So we're just waiting for the client now to turn up at the office, and we'll walk across to the police station with him.
Can you tell us a little bit about Karl?
Karl is a local young lad. Obviously he's at the police station for a reason, and the police want to speak to him about it. An allegation has been made that he's made threats to cause some damage to some property. The police then had to go off and make further inquiries, and I've got a feeling that we'll go over there, and hopefully the police won't be taking any further action against him. Here he is. He's here. Come on, you. All right, Karl. Come on in. Right. You know, we're due over there to see PC Griffiths. Yeah, about whether any inquiries have been completed or anything. Have you spoke to the person who made the complaint at all? Do you know anything about it?
Yeah.
Right, okay. Well, if you take a seat, we'll take you into the interview room, we'll have a quick chat, and then we'll have to get ourselves over to see PC Griffiths. Okay? All that. You've spoken to the person that made the original complaint. What have they said to you about whether they're going to proceed with this case or not?
And he just said that they're not going to carry it on no further.
Right. And have the police been in touch with you at all since then?
No, they haven't said nothing to me.
Right. Well, I mean, in that case, what will happen is, obviously, we'll have to go across because you've been bailed to go back to the police station. So we'll go across and we'll see what the police have got to say for themselves, and we'll speak to PC Griffiths, and hopefully, you know, because there's no one there to follow on with the case against you, then it may well be dropped today. Okay? Right, I'll just go and get my jacket and then we'll walk across. Okay.
Totally.
Just take a seat in reception there, Karl.
What time is it?
past. You're late.
As Karl and Dave head for Greymare Lane Police Station, another of the firm's clients has an appointment at Manchester Magistrates Court. Elton Cook has been charged with assault after a row with a neighbour. He's been banned by the courts from visiting his house or his street.
Yeah, so I'm going to pack up because I'm being pushed out of my own home, basically. There you go. All one's worldly goods in one box.
He's pleading not guilty, so the case is heading for Crown Court.
Well, I'm here this morning for committal proceedings, which we've actually been through and have been administered in court this morning, Manchester Magistrates Courts, for my client, Mr. Cook. And committal papers were handed to us this morning. We've had a look at them. They show that there's a case to answer. So as a result, we have committed the matter through to the Crown Court. And Mr. Cook's next appearance is at Manchester Crown Court on the 7th of June at 9:45. So he's literally going to have to appear at the next hearing over there at the Crown Court.
Since you last interviewed me, basically, I mean, we're still selling the house. We've got possible offers of the house being sold. But again, my life's still on hold. Can't make any decisions as to where I'm going to go from now on until the case is heard on, obviously, the 7th of July, and then wherever it goes from there.
Did you think it'd take this long for the whole, you know, it's June and then it's not going to be over when it goes to the Crown immediately?
Well, I mean, that's what Gayle was saying this morning, my solicitor was saying that even though it's June for committal, it might even be August before the actual final outcome is, which is just, well, 8 months down that line, isn't it, nearly? 7 or 8 months, it's unbelievable how long it's taking.
Mr. Cook will now see his barrister, will instruct a barrister on his behalf, and he'll have a conference with him, and his barrister will advise him what is to happen. The first hearing at the Crown Court on the 7th of June is a plea and directions hearing, and that's when he will enter his plea, and if it's a not guilty plea, then the judge at the time will give directions as to what will happen next at the Crown Court. If it's to be a guilty plea, then the judge will have to make a decision in regards to sentence, but Mr. Cook will have to be advised by his barrister now. He will take it from here.
Back at Beswick, Principal Advocate Dave O'Reilly and his client Karl Pye have been told to come to Greymare Lane Police Station to discuss Karl's alleged threatening behaviour.
How did that go inside there?
Right, unfortunately, Karl has had to be rebailed again to a date towards the end of the month. The officer in the case is not at the police station at present. He's been called away to do some court security down in Manchester, which unfortunately means that he isn't here to deal with it, and they don't know what time he'll be back. So they've literally just had to say to Karl, come back in a few weeks' time, which is unfortunate because obviously Karl wants matters dealt with. We have our opinion as to how it's going to be finalised, and we really wanted it to happen today, but we're going to have to wait for the officer to do it.
So a rebel, I mean, is there a certain amount of time that'll take, or could be next week?
No, we've got to come back on the 28th, which is a date that's been given to us today. It may well be, and it has been indicated that the officer may give either Karl or myself a ring to say that we're not needed because they've taken the decision that we're expecting. But certainly they've got to give Karl another date to come back, because obviously, as the investigation stands at the minute, it is ongoing. But hopefully, as I say before, then we'll get a phone call saying that we're not needed.
Things like rebel, do you understand what all that is?
Yeah, it's just that they bail me out while I'm on the out, and then I've got to come back on the day they say, or if I don't, I can get breached. They can take me in custody for it.
Of course, you're a local lad to the Basic area, is that right?
Yeah, I just live over there.
So you've always grown up around here?
Yeah, all my life.
So, what would you say? I mean, do you think in terms of like what there is to do for like your age, say, in Basic, how would you rate that out of 10?
Nah, there's nothing to do. About 0. There's nothing to do for us around here. I do what I build something though for us to do.
So, what kind of things do you get up to?
What, around here? Nothing, just walk about, sit in my mate's house. There's nowhere for us to go.
Last time on Wythenshawe Law, we saw client Kirk Jones undergo a gruelling operation to remove a 10-inch metal rod from his leg.
Here we are, that's the device, and we're done.
Kirk was knocked down by a drink driver nearly 2 years ago. His personal injury claim is still ongoing. Today he's going to his local job centre with rehabilitation officer Lynn Mason to try and get back to work.
What about lifting if it's your shoulder? Is that
My shoulder's
okay?
fine, but when I lift heavy things and move about, it brings pain to my leg.
When you say heavy things, how you know, like if you go shopping to us, I'll give you a housewife's scenario. Can you lift a bag of, say, 10 kilo of potato? You know that.
So like a small bag?
No, the bigger one.
All right, it'll bring pain to my leg.
Right.
Yeah,
To your leg?
The more weight, like,
right.
I'm lifting, the more pain I get in my leg as I'm walking.
Have you had any idea of what type of work it is that you'd be interested in doing?
I'd be interested in anything to do with music or computers.
Right. And do you feel you've got qualifications or...
Yeah.
I know you've got a lot of experience, but in that industry then, would you need certificates or anything like that?
It'd help.
Tell me now about this accident that you've had. What actually happened?
Knocked over on the crossing, on the zebra crossing.
Right. When was that?
November the 11th, 2002.
What were the injuries then?
Broken left tibia.
Now don't go medical on me, right? Because I'm not...
Broken left leg.
Lower left leg.
Right.
Scar, concussion.
Right.
And tissue, is it muscular damage?
Yes, soft tissue.
In my shoulder.
It was your shoulder, wasn't it?
Yeah, my left shoulder.
Can you drive? Or could you drive before the accident?
I was having lessons before the accident and then I had to stop them.
Okay, so do you feel comfortable now about going back to having lessons?
Yeah, I've got to ring up when I get back home and arrange some lessons.
Right, so maybe that's the first thing that we need to do, okay?
Thanks very much, Mimi.
Thanks, Kirk. I'll see you again.
Hi, I'm just wondering if there's any driving lessons available. Yeah, what prices are you looking at? Is next week okay?
Manchester Crown Court, and today client Karl Pye is due for sentencing on a serious charge. It's very likely that Karl will be sent from here straight to prison.
Yeah, we're here because Karl Pye is due to be sentenced in respect of an allegation of a fray. He's pleaded guilty to a fray. He was originally charged with a violent disorder, but on the last occasion, the prosecution withdrew that and offered him the chance to plead guilty to a lower charge of a fray. And so he pleaded guilty to that, and his case has been adjourned for pre-sentence reports, and he's due for sentence today in respect of that.
Where is he?
Karl isn't here yet. He's on bail, but he's not yet arrived, and we don't know where he is. So we're going to go and phone him and see where he is and when he's about to arrive. Obviously, he's due to be here at 10 o'clock, so we're a bit concerned as to his whereabouts at the moment, but I'm sure he'll attend at some stage, but we need to really know when he's going to get here. Karl is 17, and obviously he would be going, if he is going to get a custodial sentence today, to a young offenders institution, and he will serve half his sentence. So if he gets 18 months, for instance, he'd do 9 months, and then he'd be freed on licence.
How do you think that's going to affect a 17-year-old?
Well, I think Karl is the sort of person who can take it. You know, he won't enjoy the experience, but he is the sort of person who can handle himself. He's a strong character, and he will deal with it, and it won't be too much of a burden on him, although it won't be particularly pleasant.
Do you think he'll learn from it?
Hopefully, yeah. I mean, as people get older, they become more mature. Obviously, when he comes out of the Young Offenders Institution, he'll be a more mature person. So, hopefully, he will have learnt from his experience. I don't think he wants to be locked away. So hopefully, he will have learnt from it and start behaving appropriately. Karl, when he's sober, is the nicest lad in the world. He's generous. He's very, very polite, and he's a really nice lad. But it appears that when he's had a drink, he behaves a bit like an idiot, really, and like most people, I suppose. But Karl tends to get himself in trouble. But he's a really, really nice lad, and it's tragic, really, that he's likely to go to prison today, because he is such a nice person when he's sober. And that's the only times I've dealt with him. But obviously, I've not dealt with him when he's had a drink, and he might be a bit of a handful. Obviously, he is, by the fact that this offence has been committed.
As Angelo tries to find Karl, another of the firm's clients is on the latest stage of his legal journey. Elton Cook has been charged with assault after a run-in with a neighbour.
The bail variations were basically for me to attend the home address, to basically collect the belongings which are in my vehicle at the moment, with a police officer in presence, because I'm in fear of my life through the threats from this party, which I've assaulted.
The court has barred him from his house and his street until the case is heard.
Basically, today's progression from last week. I had an appointment last week with my Crown Court team, who've now appointed a barrister, and I've come along today basically to meet my barrister before we go into Crown Court on the 7th of June, basically to discuss the case. Never really seen a barrister before, so not quite sure exactly what it entails, but I'm sure they'll guide me through the Crown Court procedures and stuff.
The logic seems to scream at you to plead guilty.
Not really, no, because of the mitigating circumstances in the case, which at the moment I can't say due to the fact it's going through court. But there are what they call the mitigating circumstances.
Are you not tempted to think, well, if I plead guilty, I might get either a community service or a fine, and it can be done with?
Personally, I'm hoping to believe in the British justice system that it'll all prevail and bring out the truth in court.
If you do go for not guilty, when do you think this will be resolved? How long will it take?
Really, at the moment, as you know, my life's been on hold since February this year, and as you're probably already aware, I mean, it's just a case of I'm willing to take it out a year, maybe even 2 at the most. All I want at the end is just to get justice, for me and my wife.
Back at court, Karl Pye finally shows up for sentencing.
Oh, yeah.
what I get over and done with.
It's been a while since I last saw you. I think it was in Beswick, the police station. What have you been up to since then?
Just chilling, man. Just doing nothing, just being out and about, man.
What do you expect to happen today?
Get a little sentence.
What do you expect to get?
A year or something.
How are you feeling then? I've got to know how I'm feeling a bit anxious.
That's what I get over and done with.
What are your family? How are your family? Are you expecting you to go home? Or
Just hope the best for me, innit?
so you might be seeing you coming out, or you might
Staying in there. Depends. It's a 50-50 chance.
Do you think you'll you might learn from this really, or what do you reckon?
Don't even know.
What did you do last night? How did you?
Got blooded.
Did you?
Yeah. I'm still pretty pissed now.
Was that to try and?
In case I get sent down, a little celebration in it.
Right. Well, good luck.
Top one.
I hope I see you coming out at the end of it. Yeah.
Hopefully.
Yeah. All right. You take care.
Right. Top one. See you later.
It doesn't take long for the judge to decide the sentence. It appears we won't be seeing Karl for some time.
Okay, well, Karl's has now been sentenced for the affray, and he's received 8 months imprisonment.
So. Were you in there with him? How did it go?
He's fine. I mean, he was expecting that sort of sentence anyway. Before he went in, I spoke to him about the fact that he could get between 12 and 18 months for it. He was banking on about 12 months. So 8 months is something which he says he can handle, and he's quite happy with that result. Karl lives a short distance away from the office, so no doubt when he's released he'll pop in to say hello and things like that. So we'll see him again. Whether we see him in a police station again or before a court is another matter. Hopefully we won't, but we just don't know at this stage. It depends how he reacts to this sentence, really.
Angelo's next appearance is away from court. It's at Wythenshawe Town Football Club. The firm sponsors local youth team Benchill Rovers, and today they're getting ready to lay down the law.
I think they look like a tidy outfit, but I don't think they hold any fear for us. I think, you know, we can hold our own with a team like this. We don't usually play together in 11-a-side, but I think we can make a good account of ourselves. I think we'll do all right.
Do you have any idea what the outcome's going to be today?
Oh, I think it'll be a close one. I think there'll be a few tasty tackles flying in, and the odd goal or two, and hopefully it'll just be an entertaining game and everyone will enjoy it, and we'll go for a beer after the match. I think, you know, it's more to do with everyone getting on and having a good laugh than anything else, I think.
Take it away, mate. Oh, you twats. Come on, King. Come on, Ref.
The legal team has been well and truly sent down by Benchill Rovers. 14 goals to 2.
Well, I thought it was a very committed performance. The lads, you know, they worked hard, and I thought it was close for a good 5 minutes. And beyond that, we worked hard. You can't fault the lads for their efforts and commitment. And I think we had a good day out. Performance-wise, you know, I think we could have got, you know, a few more goals would have been nice. I mean, more than the 2 we got. I mean, we're only 12 behind, so I mean, it was close, and there was always a chance we could come back.
Did you think it was a fair game today?
I think there weren't too many late tackles or anything like that. I think the spirit of the game was upheld fairly well, and I think we're pleased with that. Nobody was injured, so, you know, it all turned out well, and we got pasted.
Would you agree with that yourself, Craig?
Yeah, I can't add anything to that, can I?
Next time on Wythenshawe Law, new recruits to the company's family law team, and the firm tries to secure the release of an infamous client. If you'd like more information about the issues raised in this programme, go to our website, grenadatv.com, where you can get our fact sheet. Manchester Crown Court, and among the many cases being heard here today is the assault charge brought against Elton Cook. We followed the case from the start, from the court order banning him from his house and his street, to the repeated visits to the magistrates' courts to enter pleas, to barristers' meetings and pre-trial hearings. He's accused of assaulting a neighbour with a heavy-duty torch. Today is day one of his trial.
I've been advised a 3-day trial. Like all the evidence will be read out today on the Monday the 26th of July, probably the same on the 27th, and then on the Wednesday what will be happening then is I'll either be charged with it. It could be, if it's dropped, for example, I mean, what would happen then is I just walk straight out of court, not guilty. But if they do decide and find me guilty, the jury, they adjourn it for 3 weeks for sentencing reports. And you come back in 3 weeks and you'll find out then like whether it's going to be a fine, community service or a custodial sentence, which, you know, it's not very nice because you just want to, you think you could have your trial and just get it over with in, say, 2 or 3 days, but they prolong it by letting you wait 3 weeks.
Like you say, it's quite nerve-wracking.
Yeah, it is, because I mean, like I said, not sleeping, you know, not eating properly. And everything in your life, like leading up to it, does seem to revolve around the trial. You know, thinking about it, that kind of thing.
Cases like Elton Cook's may not make the headlines, but another of Tranter's clients most definitely does.
They've got to have their reasons for recall prepared and have to give us the recall pack within 24 hours. I think it's Prison Service Order 6000, which I've got in my office, or you can get on the internet on the Prison Service website.
At the firm's Northern Moor office, the prison law team is trying to secure the release of great train robber Ronnie Biggs. He is currently in the high-security Belmarsh jail after 37 years on the run.
We live and die in Brazil, and I want my ashes to be spread over sanitary reasons.
They're trying to free him on human rights grounds.
At this stage, he's had 2 strokes. He is paralyzed in his face. He can't speak, he can't eat. He's fed through a pump in his stomach. He's frankly an old, broken man. He would very much, I think, like to live out his days in some dignity, pay the punishment he owes to society. Unfortunately, it's the prison service's view that this 75-year-old man needs to be in high security conditions. We disagree. We think it's illegal. We think it's inhumane. So we're challenging that. We've asked them to transfer him. They currently hold him in HMP Belmarsh, which is a high security prison. It costs, with his health care, the British taxpayers about £55,000 to £60,000 a year, we estimate, to keep him there.
it's up to the court, and it's finely balanced, I would say, because you can understand both points of view in terms of how the public feel about Ronnie Biggs. On the one hand, there is a compassionate view, and on the other hand, there is, somebody should do the time for committing the crime, and that, in a sense, mirrors what happens in the magistrates. You always get this tension between compassion for the individual where it's appropriate, and actually sending out a message to say, well, if you commit crimes, this is what happens to you, and society needs an element of that. So in Ronnie Biggs' case, it's a very difficult issue, really. But he has already served originally, I think, 15 months, and then he served another 3 years. I mean, that's equivalent to over 8 years, given a 50% discount on sentence. And by today's standards, 8 years, even for quite obviously a serious robbery, it is a lengthy sentence anyway. But he's not technically eligible for parole yet, hence we've had to go down this route to try and get him out. But there is an issue there, I think, for society as a whole. It's not just about one individual there, and so we can learn from that, because that is always a hot potato there as to, do you exercise compassion, or do you take a very firm line even with somebody with his infirmity?
I think we've done as good a job as we can laying the groundwork. We think our legal arguments are very strong. His medical position is very poor, and I have a lot of confidence in the barrister that we work with. I never make promises to my clients that I can't keep. That's one of the cardinal rules of being a lawyer and of criminal law. You tell your clients the pros, the cons, and you do your best for them. And I'm not one that would really ever place odds on the success of a case.
At Manchester Crown Court, security guard Elton Cook's assault trial has come to an abrupt halt, nearly 12 months after his initial arrest, following a row with a neighbour.
Elton, what happened?
To be honest with you, it's a bit of a farce, because it's like, I don't think the judge believed me, but the barrister, the prosecution decided to put a plea in of dropping the charge from a section 47 to a section 39, which is a lesser charge, if I pleaded guilty to the lesser charge. Which, in the light of things, basically, rather than going for a 3-day trial now, we've ended up having to go and plead guilty to a common assault, section 39. They fined me £250 for the actual assault and £250 cost.
How does it make you feel?
Very angry. I mean, in my eyes, I'm still not guilty. It's very frustrating that I've had to plead guilty. The judge, was aware that there were mitigating circumstances, but he said that I acted recklessly on the day. Personally, I was willing, to go not guilty all the way, but it was a case of, if you don't plead guilty on a section 39, you'll go to prison.
How does it not feel like it's knocked you back a little bit?
It has knocked me back. Financially, £500 is nothing these days. At the end of the day, what I've lost through this bully that I've had to put up with is my house, my lifestyle and everything, and I've possibly got to change my career now because of it, because the security industry is going on licence, and it means now I might not get a licence to operate in that industry.
Back with the Ronnie Biggs case, and the firm's attempts to get the great train robber released have officially begun. And it's hit the headlines. Advocate Avisha Gulhati has been dispatched to Granada TV to do a down-the-line interview with ITN.
I think the main interest, which is starting today being Monday the 9th of August 2004, is that we've now filed an application at the High Court for leave to seek judicial review. There has been previous applications to the governor at the prison and nothing that has actually happened. The application is in relation to two matters. One is that he's currently classed as a Category C prisoner, albeit is in a higher security prison, that being Belmarsh. There are disadvantages of being in a higher security prison than the category that he would be in. The second application is, of course, is to get him released on compassionate grounds due to his health. We're hoping basically to do all we can for Mr Biggs and to try and get the best possible result, and any media attention that is obviously positive media attention that may assist his help, it is only something that can go in his favour.
How do you feel going in to do this?
It's very different to the job I'm used to doing. Obviously, I'm a lawyer at the end of the day. I'm used to being in court and representing clients in court and speaking in court. To do it in front of cameras is, I suppose, fairly daunting because it's not something I'm used to. It's not something that I've done before.
Part of the job, though. Yeah.
Well, it's becoming that. It seems to be becoming that, yes. Just checked I could hear them okay.
Unable to see her interviewer and in front of a fake background, Avisha deals with the presenter's questions.
Well, of course, you're looking at human rights issues, aren't you, and also his health at the end of the day. The other thing to bear in mind, he got a very lengthy sentence. He received a 30-year sentence, I think, back in 1964. Again, look at the sort of various sentences that can be given out today, and also stated his health. He has now served the equivalent of a six-year sentence because he spent 3 years in an English prison here. He's now served the equivalent of a 6-year sentence, and obviously when you're looking at prison sentence, you're looking at rehabilitation, punishment, and retribution, and it's submitted that all those have now taken place. He's a 75-year-old, very frail man at this moment in time. His parole date, I think, would mean he'd be up for parole when he's 81. His actual release date would mean 95. At the end of the day, like I say, you've got to look at the health, whether or not it's humane to keep him in these conditions. Bearing in mind, to some extent, he's being doubly punished because he's being kept in a prison that can provide the medical facilities for him, but also it's not the correct prison for his type of category. Thank you. Thank you. It seemed to go all right, yes. It's very different. I suppose to some extent not how I expected. It's very strange sort of talking to someone who's not there.
What kind of questions did they throw at you?
They're asking why we were making the application to the court, what we were hoping to get out of it, and also that they're asking, whether or not, in light of the offence that he's done, whether or not it's right that he in fact should stay there. Are the family concerned that he would die in prison? And what my view was as to why no action had been taken by the Home Secretary or Governor.
And what goes on from here now? What's the next stage of the case?
Well, the application has been filed today at the High Court. They will then issue it, I assume, within a couple of days and serve it upon the Secretary of State. Thereafter, we await for a response from him, and then the papers will go before the judge, who will make a decision as to whether or not leave would be granted.
B&Q, we've got... Hiya, Jodie. Hello, my lovely. Oh, no, I can imagine not to worry at all. No, thank you for getting back to me, my lovely.
One of the most sensitive areas for any solicitor's practice is family law. Divorce, especially involving children, is rarely easy.
The legal documentation from our buyer is behind or something, and whether he could possibly ask his solicitors to actually to move that forward or something, sweetie.
I've never had huge problems in relation to a client being particularly unhappy or violence towards me or anything like that. Some clients do, most clients are quite appreciative of what you do for them. It's just that there's always difficulty when you're advising them and the advice they get they don't like. But it's your duty really to give them the best possible advice you can.
I'd say in family law probably about 60% of your job is counselling your client and looking after their emotions, and 40% is the law, which can be a little disillusioning to a trainee solicitor like myself, who spent 5 years part-time studying and some £11,000 training to become a solicitor. And obviously what I want to do is the law, in a sense. What would you like, coffee or tea?
Coffee, please.
Yes,
because of the nature of the job, you tend to find that everything, when you're busy, it's because everything's awful, and at the same time you've got 6 or 7 court hearings in 1 week and so on and so forth. So the stress is probably the low point, and the really difficult weeks that you can have that turn into difficult months usually.
The biggest shock to me has been legal aid, the rates they pay, and the consequence of that being that the firm just simply doesn't have the money to have the resources you would hope to have in a professional practice. They do their very best and everyone works very hard, but because it's a legal aid practice, there simply isn't the money in the business to help you with the workload you have adequately. I think, to be honest, a heavy workload and long hours are symptomatic of legal aid work and aren't necessary, specific to Tranters themselves. So that was a shock I quickly got over, to be honest. That wasn't a huge shock. I think it really is the shock to me, coming from a local authority into private practice, was finding out how little you were paid as such. Not necessarily my salary, but how much you were paid from the Legal Services Commission and what direct impact that had on how much money the business had, i.e. how many secretaries they can afford, how efficient they can be. And in my opinion, I think that has an impact on the quality of work and how efficient you can be and how you can do the best job for your client. No, I don't think we do either.
At Manchester Magistrates Court, there's another case for the firm to deal with. Twocking.
Aggravated twack.
Taking without consent.
What's that?
Aggravated?
Yeah, aggravated round. The car's already been took and I'm supposed to took the car.
Okay. So what's going to happen there today?
That's what I'm here for a trial. That's why I come here today, to see them, to see guess what happened for me. But there's things there, but no, that the witness is telling lies about, so we've got to fucking find out about things and that.
So what happened?
What's that?
What's happened with the car?
Oh, the car's been smashed up and into a what is it? Where just off an offset of green. Oh, there's been really mad things happened.
It's all got a bit hairy.
Yeah.
Right. So what do you think is going to happen today? Have you had a chat? Do you know what's going to happen?
Yeah, she said it'll just probably get adjourned again till next time, and you go in next time and just see what happens from there.
How does that make you feel then? I mean, if you're just getting adjourned and then you've got to come back in.
Yeah, it's piss take. Oh, he's actually coming take from Wythenshawe now, just come here, just get adjourned and go back home.
So, I mean, has this happened before to you then?
Yeah, a couple of times.
How does it make you feel?
What do you mean? How does it make you feel?
Just generally, how does it feel then?
Pissing me off. I had to come in all the way down here just to go all the way back for it to be adjourned.
So what would you hope the outcome is?
Just to try and get it out today.
How old are you?
What?
How old are you?
18.
The story behind it is an allegation of an aggravated taking of a vehicle without the owner's consent. Someone's implicated Adam. He knows nothing about it, doesn't know where the story's come from. We'll just take it from there.
So will Adam be due back again soon?
For trial. Next time we'll see him is at trial. He'll be in the office in the meantime so that we can take further details and chase up possible defence witnesses. But the next time that we attend court will be trial.
In terms of back home where this guy's supposed to have allegedly said you pinched his car, I mean surely that was caused a bit of fracas back in the community.
No, is it for?
Do you know the fella?
What?
Do you know
no.
the fella at all? No.
That's what we never heard of his name before. Rather know him. But he said he knows me.
It's strange, isn't
it? Yeah. Strange guy, man.
Okay then.
Alright, see you later.